Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the latest episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, along with my co-host, and we have a guest co-host tonight. So I'll tell you about that after Rhonda says hello.
Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
And we welcome everybody to the show. Tonight, I will be leaving right after the start of the show because I sing in my choir. We're doing a special presentation with gospel artist Kurt Carr, and tonight we have an extra rehearsal. So I have to go to rehearse and support my soprano section in the choir. And so I will be leaving, but Mary Evans, one of our team members, if you all watch the show, you've seen her before. She's going to be on in my stead as co-host, helping Rhonda with our guests. And we have a great lineup tonight. I have two housekeeping notes. First, the National Black Book Festival vendor space. We have 2 spots left. 2. So if anyone wants them, it's first come, first serve. We expect them to be gone probably by the end of the week. And also, we have a book to give away tonight, and it's the book of our first guest. So I'm going to admit her. She's been on the show before. I've read her books. They're very good. And her name is Suzette Harrison. And we welcome her to the show, or back to the show. Welcome back to Black Authors Matter TV, Suzette.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure as always. A good evening.
And I like your background. Is that real or is it virtual?
It is. You see the book right there on the shelf? It's
Okay,
real.
it looks really nice.
Thank
Very,
you.
very bright. It's really nice.
Very
So
pretty.
we're giving away a copy of your book with this is your new book with her baby on her back. And
That's a textbook.
yeah, well, her books are not thin, but they do, the storyline does move. So this is historical fiction, and we're going to do the trivia at the top of the show because I told the guests that I will be leaving, and Rhonda and Mary will be managing all of the interviews for tonight. So the trivia for this book it's Mississippi, it's 1848. The main character, Zinni, is forced to walk a certain number of miles. How many miles does Zinni have to walk? And Rhonda's going to put the question out there, and the first person to get the answer correct will win. And this is a book, not an arc. So this is the actual book. We'll be sending it out to you. So I'm going to sign off, and I'll be seeing you all next week, which is our 6th anniversary show. Good night, everybody.
Good night. And
All right, Gwen. Have fun. All right. Well, welcome to the show once again, Suzette.
Thank you, Dr. Rhonda. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you joining us. So, first of all, for the people who may not have met you, because I know, first of all, people are excited about having you because they're already in the comments talking about, yay, Suzette.
Thank you.
So, but for people who have not had the pleasure, can you tell everybody a bit about yourself?
Yes, indeed. Suzette D. Harrison, as you already know, I'm a hybrid author. I'm both indie author as well as traditionally published. And this book, with her baby on her back, is book number 15 for me. I primarily write African American historical fiction, but I also do dabble a little bit in romance, and I even have one children's book. I am a third generation Californian, but I have relocated, and now I'm a Savannah, Georgia girl.
Oh, Savannah. I love Savannah.
Yes,
Yeah,
wife and mother of 2 adults.
I used to live in Richmond Hill.
Yes, not
Yeah.
too far away.
Yes,
What
I
part of
love
California were you?
Savannah. What'd you say, Mary?
What part of California were you?
Sacramento, Northern California.
I lived off I-5,
See,
Okay, we got to listen to this. Let's
Florin Road. Come on
see,
now.
look at
get
this
out of
triangular.
here. Florin was my old
Walk to the
school
river.
Amherst. Yes, indeed.
Yep.
I know exactly what you're talking
Small
about.
world.
Small
It is
one.
a small world. It's that 6 degrees of separation either way
Mm,
you go.
yes.
We all cousins.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So how long have you been in Savannah?
A year, just literally a year last week.
Oh
Oh,
wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're still pretty much of a newbie there.
I am. I'm still learning my way around, still learning the roads, the system, the system, the heat and the
Oh
bugs,
yeah, the heat
all
does not play.
the heat and the rain. It's raining right now. I know it's July and it just seems like it rains all year and it may be, very temporary and the sun comes out, but it's an adjustment, but I have no complaints other
what
than the
drew,
bugs.
I'm curious, Suzette, what drew you to relocating?
Well, my husband retired early. And for me, I'd always wanted to live in the South for years, decades. That was like a dream of mine. And we visited, we did our research. We were very diligent in doing our research, interviewing other people who had moved from California to Georgia or to the South. And we took a trip, we visited, we enjoyed it. And when hubby said, I'm done with work, I'm out, we got in the car and drove across country.
All right.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you did that. And it looks like Tony Benito got the answer. Is it 2,000 miles?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh,
Oh
That
my
is correct.
goodness.
Mama
Mama
Tony.
Tony.
Come
Mama
on,
Tony.
Tony. Getting that answer.
Mama Tony's on it.
Yes. All right, so now 2,000 miles is no small feat. So you're going to have to tell us about this story.
Yes, so the story is fictional, but it's inspired by a real woman by the name of Bridget Biddy Mason. She walked from and was required to walk from Mississippi to initially Utah and then to
Mhm.
California when her enslavers went in search of their religious freedom. They were Mormons and they were being, under attack in different parts of the South. And so when they decided that they were going to move, of course, that meant the entire household had to go as well. So Biddy did not have a choice. So my character, Zinni, again, is inspired by Biddy Mason. I love to point out that Biddy Mason is, in my mind, the grandmother of Los Angeles. This
Mm.
formerly enslaved woman helped to build LA, and she doesn't get the due just credit that she deserves. There's a memorial to her in downtown Los Angeles. It's a small little memorial in, recognizing her contributions. But she went from being an enslaved woman walking across the United States with a baby literally on her back, her newborn child, and two small daughters all across that country to help somebody else in their religious freedoms. So, with her baby on her back, as my tribute to Miss Bridget Biddy Mason, it's a dual timeline. For those who are not familiar with dual timelines, it's where it's two stories that run parallel like trains on a track. One is historical, the other is contemporary, but they merge and connect. They are overlapping connections.
Oh, wow. So, Mary, you look like you were about to ask something. I'll let you
I
go first.
was. I've heard of the dual timelines. Is yours continual from the beginning to the end, or does it kind of like intersect right at a certain point?
Well, the way it's written is, for example, chapter one is the historical Zinni. We meet Zinni in chapter one. In chapter two, we meet the contemporary character whose name is Lynette. Chapter three, we go back to Zinni. So it's like a ping pong tennis match, back and forth. So I've heard some people that say, well, I read the historical part all by itself, and then I go back and I read the contemporary character. But for the enrichment, the most enriching, read it the way it's written. Read it from
Sure.
beginning to end.
Trust
So
the
are the
author.
two characters connected in some way?
They
Is that
do,
okay?
absolutely. I don't know, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but
Okay.
Lynette, our contemporary character, her story opens, her grandmother has dementia. Her grandmother's looking for these memory keepers, these books that she kept, newspaper clippings, etc. in. Lynette is in her grandmother's attic looking for these memory keepers, and she stumbles, or her son stumbles across a brooch, a sapphire brooch. And that starts the mystery, that trail of mystery for Lynette, seeking to find out, well, what's this brooch about, and how is it connected to our family, and how is it connected to Zinni? So they, yes, the families do connect, but I don't want to give too many any spoilers.
I get it. I
Yeah.
get it. So, what inspired you to tell this story?
Oh my goodness. So my husband is a retired university professor, and he taught African American studies. And I remember one day him asking me, "Have you ever heard of Biddy Mason?" And of course I had not. And I am a Black Studies major. My bachelor's is in Black Studies. I never heard of Biddy Mason. He would like mention her frequently, off and on. And it started, crawling in here. Like, well, who is Biddy Mason? And it sent me eventually on a quest to find out who she was and to learn more about her. And being a California native, and the fact that she came to my home state and helped build one of the largest cities in America, I was fascinated. But I wasn't initially, oh, I'm going to write a story about her. But she just would not leave me alone. She kept coming back, knocking on the door, write my story. And there are books, of course, about her. There's children's books. There are, factual books about her. I didn't find any fiction about her. So that's how I got on the train of Miss Biddy Mason.
Smart.
It's kind of I'm not even going to say kind of. I mean, it is an injustice
Mhm.
that so many people who have so many people of color who have contributed to our history. And I'm so glad that so many of these stories are coming out now during America 250,
Mhm.
Yes.
because and I've been saying it for a while, because we as Black people have been saying y'all can have it. Y'all want to celebrate America 250. This is y'all freedom 250. Y'all can celebrate it. But this is our America 250 as well,
Yes.
because our stories need to be celebrated as well. And so many of our stories have been buried
Mhm.
and have not been told, and we're just starting to find out our stories.
Yeah.
And because of historical fiction writers such as yourself, we're just starting to find these stories.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that historical fiction is having a moment right now, because you're the reason that we're starting to find out these stories. We're learning so many of our stories, and they're not all connected to, yeah, some of them
Mhm.
started off as slavery stories, but they're not all sad stories, so to speak.
Correct. Absolutely. And there is I don't want to say a fine line, but I always want to show the success, the triumph,
Yeah.
the tenacity, the greatness of these hidden figures. I like, we call them hidden figures, and bring them to the forefront. And yes, unfortunately, she was an enslaved woman, but I try to deal with that softly and as gently as possible, and not
Yeah.
just being horrific for gratuitous horror, but to tell the truth, but in a respectful and restrained way, because I want the lens on Zinni. I don't want the lens on the Institute of Slavery. I want to get into this woman's skin and see how she overcame and how she triumphed despite the
Yes.
inequities of the day.
Exactly. And that's what I mean, is that everything doesn't have to end in a struggle story. We can
Yeah.
talk about the triumphs of our ancestors as well, and celebrate their freedom as well, and their triumphs. So I'm really glad that you are telling these stories.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Can I just backpedal for just 1 second?
Absolutely.
Kind of off track, but we're talking about the 250th, celebration of the country in which we live. My other dual timeline is my name. One of my others is my name is Ona Judge, and she was the enslaved person of George and Martha Washington. So, we celebrate in America. I want to celebrate her. She's the one that got away, the one that gained her freedom from one of the most powerful homes, positions in America. So we can celebrate the way, like you said, the what and how we celebrate that which is important to us.
Yes.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, Suzette. So, how long did it take you to do your research for the book?
The research portion may have been 5 to 6 months or so. A lot of reading, watching different videos, just scouring the internet, excuse me. And what I like to do, especially when I am dealing with a real person, is I will create a spreadsheet. And I create that spreadsheet and I put as much information and data in that spreadsheet as possible and refer back to it as I'm writing, just for authenticity's sake and to stay as true to the story as possible, even though it is fiction. So that research portion, about 5 to 6 months or so before, diving into writing.
Right.
And then how do you know? I love asking this question of historical fiction writers because you do all of this research and you find all of these fascinating tidbits. And then you have to start picking and choosing what are you going to include? What are you not going to include? What makes it into the story? What becomes just a side note? How do you choose what's going to happen, what's going to stay in the story?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. I don't know that it's really my choice. And I say that because I follow the character. I follow the
Mm,
Yes.
character. I give myself the role of typist. I'm telling your story, I'm just your typist. So with this particular story with Zinni, it follows her from Mississippi to Utah to California, and that was very meaty and a lot of information. Unfortunately, I don't get to show how she became the grandmother of Los Angeles. I do include an essay at the end and even encourage readers to go and do further research and to
yeah.
further educate themselves and introduce themselves to Biddy Mason. But I wasn't able to incorporate that in the book. You called it a textbook. It would have been a encyclopedia,
Volumes
you
and
know,
volumes.
Right.
volume 1, 2, 3, and 4. Had I included all of that. So I bring in what I feel is germane and that is important to the building and showing and the arc and the progress of the character. And I want to see her journey. I want to see her come across the country because that's just unfathomable to me with a baby, newborn, and two little girls, ages 4 and 10. I'm coming across country by foot primarily. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that the reader felt the peril of that journey, the tension of that journey, the mishaps and the triumphs of that journey. And so that's kind of how I, determine what to bring in. I couldn't go past, a point. So, like I said, we'd be reading encyclopedias.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot imagine to go on that long a journey with a baby. It's already a dangerous journey as it is.
Yes.
But
Yes.
to go on that long a journey with a baby, and I'm quite sure, just as you said, just to describe that journey and the dangers that she probably faced along that journey, those were probably really harrowing scenes to describe. How did you um, describe those? How were you able to describe those scenes? Because you had to imagine those scenes. So, how did you go through being able to describe those scenes and then making them real for the reader?
I like to put myself in my character's shoes. I like to imagine myself seeing through their eyes and through the lens of their eyes when I write, and they help me to bring as much authenticity, as I said earlier, to a scene
Mhm.
so that it reads true, and I'm not just making something up. Again, a lot of research. What was the terrain like back in eight? I can't assume.
Right.
Much of anything. I literally had to go, what was the terrain like in Kansas in 1848? I had to do geographical, research to be able to insert that character truly in that moment, to make it read true, ring true, and to take the reader on the journey into another space and another place. And then just again relying on the character, listening, and I call them my ancestors because I
I
wasn't
know
there.
that's right.
Come help me write this scene because I was not there. I don't know what I'm doing. But it's, authenticity is very, and integrity of the character and the time is very important to me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite character in the book?
Okay, so I love historical fiction. So, without question, it's Zinni, of course, the historical character, but there's also a sub or secondary character in that historical. And again, not to any, disclosures here, but there's a secondary character, and she is, oh gosh, I'm going to give it away. So let me just say there's a second.
Just say her name. Just say her
Yeah.
name. Don't say
Well,
what she did.
okay. Alretha is a secondary historical
Okay.
character. So Zinni first and then Alretha second.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can feel them. I understand what that writing like. You feel them saying, "I got something to say." I'm like, "What you got to say? Oh, tell me, girl."
Yeah. And I love when they tell me or the story takes me somewhere I didn't anticipate. That's
Yes.
like, ooh,
Yes.
yes, take me somewhere I didn't plan to go. And that happens several times. Some of it's like disaster and catastrophe and heartbreak. I didn't intend to go there, but the character's like, no, this is the way it happened. You're going to
Yeah.
write it this way.
We were
And
just
what?
talking about that when you're planning a story and you probably had it outlined, you knew where you wanted to go, but then you start writing it and
Yeah.
then it takes a different turn that you weren't even thinking of, but it makes sense at the time.
Yeah. To me, that's exciting.
Yes,
Me, that is exciting to know that this story is alive and it's moving and it's ebbing and it's pulsing and it's flowing. And again, I'm the typist, I get to go on this journey too. So I find that very exciting.
I love it.
That made me think about. You said it takes the you're typing
Mhm.
where they're trying to go. Did they ever go places where you're like, that really doesn't match the history, but girl, go on, keep going.
Well, no, I don't run into that as much as an occurrence. There's something in there that's just absolutely heartbreaking that I did not see, and I wrestled with it. I literally was like fighting with them, like, no, I don't want to write that. I just don't want to write it. And I would walk away and come back, and then it's like, okay, Suzette, you're either going to tell their truth, or yeah, you can fictionalize it the way you want to.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can manipulate it the way you want to, but is this really what your characters and your story are asking you to do? So I went some dark places in this book that I never went before, and
Mm,
to the point that I had to get up, walk away, and weep, and then come back.
yeah.
Mm. Well, Brenda Watson Larnell says that her favorite character was Lynette's son.
Oh, just us. Yes, he is absolutely adorable, Miss Brenda. I agree with you. He is a favorite. He's worthy of being a favorite.
Mm, man. Um, oh my goodness, you have a few comments in here. She also said that with her baby on her back pays tribute to the lives and journeys of Black women across generations.
Mhm.
Tony Bonita says The Dust Bowl Orphans is one of her favorite books by
Oh,
you.
thank you, Mama Tony. That's another dual timeline as well.
Yes, she says she loves your dual timelines.
Thank
Well,
you.
actually, Cheryl McGee says she loves your dual timeline.
Oh, Miss Cheryl, thank you. Thank you. I have some of the sweetest, I don't want to call them readers, sweetest women in my life that share literature with me, reading my books, and they're so supportive, and I truly thank them. And that's one of the brightest parts for me and most rewarding of being an author are the connections and the community that we build around books.
Yeah.
So do you
It's a,
have book clubs that are just baited and waiting for you to bring the book out? Or how many loyal book clubs do you have, and what does
Well,
that
I
look
have several, but none right now on deck for reading this at this moment in time. And yeah, there are some that are just like in my hip pocket. All I got to tell them is a book is coming. Like, oh, let's get you on the calendar. So,
good? That's good.
So, how long has this book been out?
yesterday,
Oh my
July 5th.
goodness.
It's hot. It's still hot. It's
I
still
see.
so.
You've been talking about this book like it's been out for a year.
Yesterday. Just
Oh my
yes. Look,
Wait,
hot
goodness.
wait. Does that mean, Tony, you already read it yesterday? Mama Tony, talk to us in the chat because you confusing us.
No, she was referring to a different book.
Oh, was okay.
Yeah,
I
Dust
thought
Bowl
someone
War.
else said, oh, the favorite character. I
Yeah,
thought
Miss
someone else
Well,
said,
Brenda. No, Miss Brenda did read it. I don't know if she wants me to say, but yes, she's a reviewer as well. So
oh
okay,
yeah. Oh, see,
yeah,
I'm about to say Miss
beta.
Brenda must have read a review
she
copy.
did. She did. She's with Romance and Color, and then she wrote a beautiful review, and they
Oh,
actually awarded with an award of excellence, which is just like just such a tribute, an honor. I'm so blessed.
how beautiful. How
Yeah.
beautiful. Are those just the two books that you have that are dual timeline, or
No, do you want me to grab it? No, boo, I got a whole.
every one of your books are dual timeline? Like
No, not
every 15,
everyone. Not everyone.
because you said 15 books, so I was just trying to see. And while you're pulling them, I was wondering what what was your inspiration or your motivation or desire to decide to do dual timeline, and how different is that from just writing the straight historical fiction?
Yeah, it's
Well, actually,
absolutely.
before you answer that
Yes,
question,
ma'am.
that's actually goes along with what LaRonda Crosby Johnson was going to ask, because she asked, "What's the benefit of the dual timeline for readers, and how does it add to the story?"
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Wonderful question. So I'll tell you for the writer, I don't know about the reader. Maybe you will echo what I'm going to say. When you're dealing with a subject like slavery and how heavy and dark and dense that can be at times, I know when that chapter ends, I can breathe a little because now I'm coming to the contemporary character. And she's
Uh,
not dealing with the same thing. She has her own struggles, her own challenges, but I don't have that tension of reading through slavery. I can breathe and woosah
Mm.
moment before I reconnect back to my historical character.
Ah,
that's a smart
okay.
strategy, so you can get through the
Yeah,
book.
it kind of gives you a break a little bit.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we only have a couple minutes left in the
Yeah.
interview. I mean, this has been such a great conversation. It goes so quickly. But Mama Tony wanted to know if you're going to be doing a book signing in Savannah.
I would love to. I've reached out to some of our, I don't have a bite as of yet, but I would absolutely love to do a book signing. In fact, I told my husband I might just have to do it myself, get my own little
Yeah.
room and do it myself. So, Mama Tony, yes, when it happens, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, because I'm gonna have to call my girls, the New Movement Book Club, and
Okay.
let me talk to the New Movement Book Club and tell them that we have a renowned author who needs a book signing in Savannah.
Thank you.
And if
I
anyone's
appreciate
on
it.
the live, please, if you know
Yeah.
someone who's on a book club or you are part of a book club, please reach out to Suzette because this is amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Come through, Savannah. These are the other three, Miss Mary, that the other three dual timelines that I have.
Oh, nice. Which was
Yeah,
Yes.
the first? Which
beautiful
was the
covers.
first? I'm sorry. The
The
black
girl at the
girl.
back of the bus, and
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
she's inspired, an exciting incident inspired by Rosa Parks.
Okay.
Okay.
Then comes the Dust Bowl Orphans, the Dust Bowl,
Of
like,
course.
yeah, we know the Dust Bowl. And then
Hmm.
My Name is Ona Judge.
Beautiful covers.
Oh,
And
thank you.
so can we see the cover of the current book that we're talking about? Yes, there we go. With her baby on her back.
Baby on Her Back. This is the current book out yesterday, hot off the press, still smoking and steaming.
Are all
Wow.
your book
Yeah.
covers by the same person?
My publisher chooses, the artist. Sometimes it may be a different person, but through my publisher, which
Okay,
is
great.
Couture. So right now, you can get your own little book magnet
Oh, how cute.
Cute.
from my
So pretty.
website. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Well, we did put the link. We put the I believe it was an Amazon link. We put it in the chat. We've had so many comments, you're gonna have to scroll up to find it. But we did put the link in the chat. So please, everybody, go and click that link, purchase this book, and then once you finish reading it, please leave a review, because we all know, because we are authors, we know how important reviews are for a book,
Yes,
especially a book in its first few days.
yes.
And hey, this book is hot off the presses. So let's go out and support this book. So congratulations,
Thank
Suzette.
you.
It sounds like an amazing book. I cannot wait to read it. I'm going to be getting my copy.
Yay.
And congratulations to Mama Tony for winning her copy tonight. And oh, the comments are still rolling. Yeah, yeah, it looks like King Brooks was asking where Gwen is, and Mary just answered him. So, for anybody who was wondering where Gwen is, she had a previous engagement tonight and she wasn't able to be on the show tonight, but Mary and I are holding it down.
We're doing the
This
best we
so
can.
yeah, so we got this. We've got this.
This is my first time co-hosting, so y'all give me
Yes.
some feedback.
So thank you, Suzette, and best wishes. Congratulations once again on a fabulous release day.
Thank you
Thank
so much. And I appreciate it. I'm honored. Thank you, everyone.
thank you
And
so much
thank
for coming.
you. Thank you for joining us tonight. You have a
My
great night.
pleasure. You as well. Thank you.
Take
Bye
care.
bye.
That was fun. She's sweet as apple pie.
Absolutely.
See, now I got to read that because now I'm convicted because I have a historical fiction story I'm supposed to be writing, and
Me too. And I've been saying I wanted to write it for years. I'm gonna
I
have to
have the
get on it.
synopsis. I know how to begin. The first, the middle, and the end is. I just need to go ahead and sit down and let the type,
Yeah.
get the
That
type.
lady gonna start entering my dreams, talk about I thought you were gonna write about me.
Oh, mine is my grandmother. So, hey, Donna,
Hi, Donna. So,
you
ladies
got
and
to unmute
gentlemen,
yourself.
Donna Hill.
The Donna Hill.
Yes. Hi, Donna. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
And thank you for being here. So, in case you haven't heard, Gwen had a previous engagement, so she wasn't able to make it tonight. So, I will be hosting you along with our special guest co-host, Mary Evans.
Hey,
Hi.
Donna. I've asked Donna some questions before, so she may remember me.
Okay.
So, we would like to introduce you and present to others Miss Donna Hill. Well, or as Mary says, the Donna Hill.
The.
So, let's go ahead and start this off. Everybody, can you just tell everybody, for those who have been under a rock, tell everybody who you are?
Oh, um, I'm Donna Hill. I've I've been a published author since 1990. In addition to being an author, I'm also an associate professor at Medgar Evers College in the English department and the executive director for the Center for Black Literature at Medgar Evers College. I'm a mom. I have three grown kids who don't always be grown. And I have a host of grandkids and great grandkids. So the family is growing and blossoming. I'm like a Brooklyn girl at heart, Brooklyn, New York to the bone, but I moved
Yes.
to New Jersey under protest in December. So I'm a new replant in New Jersey now. So I'm trying to get used to all of that.
Whoa.
So that's sort of that's me, what else to tell you? Whole lot of books, in my backlist and stuff coming up. So
Not, I love how you just say a lot of books, like it's just a few sitting on the shelf or something. You have like a lot of books.
How many, Donna? Go ahead and spill the beans.
I have to I people keep asking me this and I keep telling myself I'm gonna actually sit down and count them one day. So I know that it's over like 100 titles. So there's romance, there's women fiction, there's mystery. I'm in like tons of
Wow.
anthologies. I've edited several collections. So there's a whole host of stuff. So there's something in my catalog for everybody. If you're a romance reader, I have tons of those. If you're into women's fiction, I have that. If you're, like mysteries and suspense, there's some of those as well. I think the only thing I really haven't done, well, I did some sci-fi because I did a couple of vampire stories.
Ooh.
The only thing I haven't done, I think, is probably young adult. That's the only thing I've kind of not done so far.
Ooh.
A
Mama
f-
Tony says she has 70 of your books.
She probably does.
That is awesome. So, do you have a favorite genre to write in?
Um, well, I think I was um sort of groomed in romance, although I there was always, especially when I first started out, sort of like a mystery element to it, only because of what I read growing up. And I started out reading a lot of like classic literature, and Greek mythology, and then I moved on to mysteries. And so when I started writing, all of those influences sort of influenced my own work. And so it shows up in different places. A very dear friend of mine who's no longer with us, Frances Ray,
Yes.
she used to tease me all the time when I was writing, and she would always say in my romances, like, who are you gonna kill off now? Um, so I do kind of, I get rid of people periodically that, I don't like. And, I find a way to get rid of them. But I
Killing people
think,
in the romance books.
yeah, I've killed off people. I
Yeah.
sure have. Yeah, yeah. They just dropped it because I didn't want them to be in the story no more. Um, but I think, so romance is my foundation. I can't get away from that. And women's fiction, I think, allows me to explore bigger themes and bigger storylines, and um, not have to adhere so rigidly to the rules of romance writing. So I can do a lot more with that, and talk about topics that I want to talk about, and things like that. And it doesn't have to end happily ever after. It generally does anyway, because I have that romance thing running through me. And there'll be romantic elements, but romance will not be the theme of the story. So uh I kind of straddle between the two, I think. When I write, I enjoy the freedom of women's fiction, fiction writing, because it gives me the opportunity to do a lot more.
Right,
Um,
right,
but even as the years have gone by, I'm doing all of these different romances. It doesn't get easier, actually, um, because for all of the sort of like the rules and expectations, um, they are not as easy to write as people would think,
Mhm.
because you have to find a new way, each time to say stuff that, you already know. Like, how many ways can people make love? How many miscommunications can there be? How many secret babies? How many,
Right.
so, and then you have to find ways to break the couple apart and bring them back together at the end, because, the readers expect, that happily ever after at the end. It's like one of the tenets of romance. So,
right. And that's kind
yeah,
of what I wanted to ask you.
yeah,
When it comes to romance, many romance readers are like hardcore romance readers want the formula. They
yeah.
usually do not want the author to break from the formula. So do you find, but when you say you're writing romance and there are going to be people who are going to die and um, in your romance book, that kind of breaks from the formula. So you're not exactly writing. that formula. So do you have romance that is going to be strictly that formula, and then maybe that other romance that's going to be for the other type of reader, so to speak?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I don't kill off people all the time.
Well,
Just
and that's what I
some
mean. There's going to be some that's going to be for that one specific reader, and
and
then maybe some that's for
I
somebody else.
did it because what happened was I wrote a private affair, right? And in my version of the story, I veered off from the traditional trajectory of romance. I actually had, in the original version, I had my main character, Quentin Parker, um, fall in love with the secondary character, who is who I wanted him to be with. This is my version of the story. And when I submitted it, Monica Harris, who's no longer with us also, said to me, "You can't do this. You can't do this." I was like, "What do you mean I can't do it?" But this is like real life. This is really what happens in life. Um, and she says, "No, you can't do this. It's supposed to be a romance. You have to go back to the drawing board." So I had to rewrite like a third of the book. Um, and so I was like, okay, all right, I'll put them together now and they'll walk off into the sunset. However, in book two, I'm gonna kill her off. And so that's basically what I did. So they were together, Pieces of Dreams. They were together, this beautiful love story, and she died. She wasn't murdered or anything. She was like in a car accident or something.
Right.
And so that, even though it was, a dark moment, it allowed me to really showcase this man and what his love for this woman was and how he recovers and finds someone to fill that empty space in his life, and he found someone that sort of like met his match. So it was still a love story, but I got back to kind of like where I wanted to go um originally, so that's kind of what happened.
Gotcha. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, and I like the fact though that you can write different books for different audiences.
Yeah. 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 And I have to, and I like to write what interests me. If I, as a reader, what would
Hmm.
I want to read? What kind of issues do I want to see on the page? And those are the things that attract me, when I write, when I come up with, the next idea. It'll be something that I'm interested in. And
Right.
something that I feel like I would like to, share with readers. And so that's always, what I've been doing. So even, the romances that I write are the foundation of them are set in um, contemporary issues. It may be, um, things that happen on the job, hierarchy issues, discrimination, police brutality. So there's all these different things that I'm interested in. It may be something legal, like in Indiscretions. It was all about, the law.
Hmm.
And so, there's things that interest me that I incorporate into I weave into the story. And I think that it gives a basic romance more depth, because you have something that you can grasp and people can connect to.
Right.
So those are the things that I look for when I'm creating these stories.
Now, Cheryl McGee says that one of her favorites was Confessions in B flat. She says it was excellent.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. And
And
that I would not consider it a typical romance. it's a romantic story set in a historical setting. It's one of my favorites as well. Thank you very much for that. Um, but so it's a romantic story. But it's I wouldn't call it a typical romance because of the issues and the separation and all of these different things that happen to the couple throughout the story, because the real story is about um, how they navigate the history that's playing throughout the story, and the importance of that. So but I'm glad she liked it though.
And Mama Tony says she liked an ordinary woman.
Oh yeah. See that's totally women's fiction. An Ordinary Woman, um, I had a lot of fun writing that. It's interesting because it's the only book of all of my books that I've written that I wrote in first person in present tense. Um, and it's just the way that the story came to me. And I wanted to write this story about, we always hear about the other woman. And so the other woman, she has to be, trifling and, she's a home wrecker and she's this,
Right.
she's that. And, we have all of these names for her. But what I wanted to write about, and I think the opening line is, I want to tell you about myself and who I am. And I'm just an ordinary woman, you know. And this is something that happened. I'm not this horrible person, but I did sleep with my best friend's husband. Um,
Mm.
so that's like one, that's like in the opening. Um, and then we go on to explain how this transpired. Um,
Right.
yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. People had some issues, with my main character, but
I
I
like
really,
characters like that though. I don't feel like a main character always needs to be perfect. I like characters
hey,
that
messy.
people have a little bit of a problem with.
Yeah, have a little bit of messy. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they shouldn't be perfect. Because who's perfect? We aren't.
No one.
We aren't perfect. So
It makes
yeah.
it makes me think about Donna Miss Swift
Oh yeah,
in Murder in
Felicia.
the Owls.
Yeah, she's a
So
mess.
brilliant, yet
Yeah, she's a hot mess.
you want to
But
talk about
Mary,
that?
now
Yeah,
Mary, you had
so
yeah,
Murder in the Isles
yeah.
gave me an opportunity to tap into my mystery um, skills, so to speak. And so I came up with this character, and the thing of it is, I think when I first started writing it, I was still working at the library because I used to work at the library. I worked at the library for 10 years and I worked in public relations. And people always say, they knew I wrote and everything. It's like, you should write a book about the library. Yeah, all kinds of stuff happens here. I was like, it's boring. And but I thought about this woman. What if there was this woman, she's brilliant and I wanted her to be the polar opposite of what people think librarians are. And so she is this brilliant, like genius level woman. She's gorgeous, she's sexy, and she has these other little quirks, that you find out throughout the story as well. She's like really quirky. And she has a sense of unraveling things. That's her sort of like her superpower. She's able to unravel things, and it's part of her educational training as well. And she finds a dead body of all places in the library where she works. She comes to work in the morning and she finds one of her colleagues dead in the aisles.
Hmm.
And so the story is all about her relationship with the detective that's investigating the murder, who doesn't believe that it's any more than an accident. And she knows that it can't be an accident, because this particular character, Dr. Dresden, he would have never been caught dead in the aisles of astrophysics, because he was a linguist. So he would have never been over there. And
Wow, that makes
of
sense.
course, the detective, like, what are you talking about? But at the time that I came up with the story, it was right around the time that they were, the deciding on who was going to be the poet laureate for the inauguration. And I was like, wow, if I can put that element in there, and it's not a regular library, it's the Library of Congress, and I can set it in DC. And so I started thinking about all of these different things, and this mystery came up. And so Felicia Swift and Mark Rizzo are the two main characters. I love them. They're just like really, they're hot for each other and they don't want to be, because they have to solve this mystery. Of course, they get together, and it's the first book in what I hope to be a series.
When you have series, does that mean at least three?
At least two so
Okay.
far. So the next one is Murder by Design. And so at the end of the first book, Murder in the Isles, they're all at the inauguration. And, Rizzo comes up to her and says, I need your help with something. There's been another murder. She's like, I'll be happy to help you. And, they walk off, and it
Oh,
leads to
So,
the next step.
I imagine her saying it just like that too.
Yeah.
are you finished with that one, or are you working on it?
I'm working on it, so it's
Okay.
not ready yet. I'm in the middle of like doing two other books right now.
Are you on deadline?
I'm always on deadline. I'm like behind deadline at this
I
point.
need
I'm
to be
like
on
so
somebody's
far
deadline.
behind deadline. I'm just like, I don't even want to think about it.
I need to be on
I
somebody's
have,
deadline.
yeah, so I have a book that's due. It's the second book in the Low Country series. So the first book in the series, Their Unexpected Plan, that comes out in August. And the the next book that will be coming out, probably next about this time next year, is another story that takes place in the same area. So that's I'm working on, and I should have been finished in March, and this is July. So that's that. And then my big book, my single title mainstream book, is coming out in November, Nola and Baldwin. So that'll be out November the 10th, from Amistad. So those are the things that's on the horizon.
You have a lot of writing on the horizon.
Yeah.
So do
How
you
do you
have an
prioritize?
actual
Go
well,
ahead.
that's just I was about to ask. Do you have an actual writing calendar, so to speak, of
Schedule.
yeah, like a schedule?
I should.
So do you just write as it hits you?
Well, I mean, I write as it hits me, and I write as it's demanded of me. So I have, you have a contract, you have deadlines. They expect you to turn this book in, and so you have to live up to it or give your money back.
Right.
So, so I have deadlines. I have deadlines in place. I don't write as much as I would like to because of all of the other commitments that I have outside of writing. I have classes that I teach, and,
Right.
organizations that I have to run. So that takes up a lot of bandwidth.
Oh yeah.
Um, so I haven't been as quite as productive as I would like. But I somehow magically all of a sudden I get to a point where it says the end and I'm finished and I move on to the next title. So right now I'm finishing up the book that was due in March. I'm under contract for another book with Amistad, before the applause. and that is historical as well. So that'll be out probably maybe the end of next year, because it's due in January. Um, so those are the two things that I'm working on. And then, once those are done, then I can go back to Murder by Design, which is the sequel to Murder in the Isles.
So do your students realize, are you just Professor Hill, or do they know that this is Donna Hill?
The Donna Hill.
Most of them do. Um, I I don't know. My colleagues at work, they always tell me, you need to tell your students who you are. And I'm just like, but I tend not to lean on that much, only because I don't want my students to, I don't know, like be intimidated because I teach fiction classes and I teach English
Mm.
courses. And so I don't want it to be because and then what happens is students that do know, then it's like, oh, would you read my work? And and then it turns into something else. So
Mm.
I kind of keep that a little low key. They know around the college,
Well, I would
like that.
tell you, when I was in college, I had a professor who was pretty well known. And sometimes we knew she was well known, but after a while, we just saw her as a really tough professor. We just kind of forgot that we would forget how well known she was until she would say, "Hey, I'm going to be doing a
Such
talk
and such,
at
yeah.
such and
You
such
should come.
library. You guys should come for extra credit," and we'll come. And then we see how filled the room was, and then we're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, she is pretty well known. We forgot about that."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I have that's very true. I had a student, she just graduated this past May, and she's like a diehard book lover. She goes to every book event that she can get to, she's at. And she was always in the classroom, and she was like, "Do you know who this is? Do you have any idea who she is? Y'all just don't know." And I'm just like, "Oh man, Sharice, please." Um, and but once they kind of realized, oh, wait a second, I've actually read your book, because a lot of times they don't make the connection.
Right.
They read my work, but they don't realize that it's actually me. And so, once they make the connection, then it's like, oh, but then, like you said, after a while, it doesn't matter, I'm just their teacher
Yeah.
and, hoping that I give them a good grade. Um, but I have high expectations for them,
See,
you
that's
got
what I'm saying. You're
work.
that tough professor until all of a sudden, like, wait a minute, she is the Donna Hill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe she, give me some tips or something. And it helps a lot when I teach my fiction courses, my creative writing courses, because then I can, lean very heavily on what I've done. And I can say, from experience, this is what happens. And when I do workshops and things like that, that experience helps a lot as well. So.
Can I ask a question about that? Like
Mhm.
what has teaching emerging, like the emerging writers that you have as students, what has it forced you to confront about your own writing that publishing success never did?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. Hmm. My my students remind me to be humble, I think, more so than anything else. Um, they allow me to sort of relive what it was like starting out, and having that person believe in your work. And so to see, I don't know if it's anything that they've taught me about, the publishing world per se, because they're very far removed from it. But that they have as I said, taught me to remain humble, um, and to be able to see all of a sudden the light bulb go off and they get it. And you realize that, it's a job well done. I think that part is probably, the most rewarding of anything. I've had students that have gotten, published afterwards. And so those things are great. To be able to, share with them my own journey, from, starting out with, a small Black publishing company to, going to one of the big fives. And what that's like, how to remain relevant for 35 plus years. Because as we know, writers come and go every day.
True.
Have a one-hit wonder, and they have three books, and we don't hear from them anymore. So, being able to share that with them is, is really important to me as well. Because I think it's all about, longevity. And, somebody asked me when I very first started writing, are you going to be a sprinter or a long distance runner?
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, I think I want to be a long distance runner.
Amen.
And, that was like 30 something odd years ago. So, yeah.
Amen.
Thank
But
you.
Donna, thank you so much for sharing your insight with us. Thank you for sharing your stories with us.
Sure.
And thank you for sharing your presence with us tonight. We really enjoyed talking with you. Congratulations on your book, Murder in the Isles. I know I will be reading it because
Okay.
it sounds really good, and I already
Okay.
know it's going to be good. But the link is in the chat, so everybody click that link, get the book because you said it's going to possibly be a series, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. We're looking forward to be a series. So, as I said, I'll be working on it. But in the meantime, you can get Murder in the Isles now. You can get Their Unexpected Plan for all my romance readers. That comes out August the 10th, August 25th, rather. And then my mainstream novel, Nola and Baldwin, comes out in November.
All right,
Busy,
you heard
busy,
it
busy.
here. All right. So
Okay.
thank you once again, Don. It was so great talking with you. You have a
You
wonderful
too. Thank
evening.
you.
All
All
right.
right.
Have a
Take
great
care.
night.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
need to be
That
busy
was
like
the
that.
Donna Hill.
The Donna here.
All
I need to
right.
be her kind of busy. Writing.
So we are about to move on to our next guest, and this is going to be a conversation and a half because we are about to start talking about colorism.
Hella is very.
Hello, Dr. Sarah. How are you?
Good. How are you all? I'm excited to chat.
Well, I'm excited to chat with you. So,
Mhm.
we have in the room with us. Welcome to Black Authors Matter TV, Dr. Sarah Webb, and we are going to be talking about your book, which is called Colorism, correct?
Yes, yes. Colorism, the politics of skin tone, and how we get free.
Oh my goodness. And I'm looking forward to talking about this because some people may know that I have my platform Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions that I host on Monday nights. And a couple years ago, I did a platform about or excuse me, I did a panel discussion on the show about colorism. And I invited ladies of different shades on the show, and we had a very good discussion. It was not a nasty discussion at all. It was a very good discussion.
Mhm.
And some of the things that we talked about are some of the things that I'm quite sure we're going to be talking about tonight. And so I'm really looking forward to this conversation because some people think that it's 2026, that we should
Mhm.
be past this discussion, that it doesn't matter what color, what shade we are, that there's no such thing as colorism anymore, that there's no
Mhm.
such thing as pretty privilege anymore.
Mm.
Dark skin and light skin doesn't matter. But unfortunately, if that were the case, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Correct. It's very much alive and well. I agree with you that we should be past it, but the way we get past it is to talk about it and change how we show up with each other. So,
Exactly. So, talk to me. Well, before we get into the book, let's hear a bit about you.
yes, so I'm Dr. Sarah L. Webb. I am the founder of Colorism Healing, which is a global initiative that I started back in 2013. I started writing about colorism in 2011, but I officially launched the platform Colorism Healing, and that is an international platform where I raise awareness about colorism through workshops, a lot of online content, publishing academic journal articles on the topic, but also creating and curating spaces for people to heal. So, whether it be support groups or healing workshops, writing workshops where people can process their pain and talk about how we move forward from there. And then again, my new book just came out a week ago today, on July 7th.
Congratulations.
So, I'm excited that this conversation is being had.
Well, I'm excited as well. And I see that's the book behind you. Can we get a closer look?
Yes, of course. This is my ARC copy, but it's the same cover.
Okay. Love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Is that art? Like, did somebody actually draw that?
I'm not sure. I know that the cover designer at Hachette designed the cover, but I'm not sure if she collaborated with an artist or if the publisher has like a source that they use to get images.
Right.
Okay. LaRonda Crosby Johnson asked for the title again. So can you hold the cover up one more time so she can see the
Yes.
title?
And I will repeat it
Okay.
verbally. It is Colorism, the Politics of Skin Tone and How We Get Free. Available wherever books are sold.
Okay. And you
And
said it
it's
was published
also,
by Hachette.
yes, Legacy Lit specifically, which is one of the Hachette imprints. Krishan Trotman is the director of that. But also, I've recorded it in audiobook through Hachette. So for people who like to listen to their books, I am the narrator of the book, and it's available in ebook
Yay.
as well.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought I heard a voice come from somewhere. I'm not sure where that came from. Okay. All right. We didn't hear it. Let's go. Okay, so let's talk about the book. What are we
Yeah.
actually discussing in the book?
So the book is designed for people to have a firm understanding, a firm grasp of what colorism is as an international cross-cultural phenomenon. And so I use a lot of examples from people across the world, people of different ethnicities, genders, as well as a lot of the research that has been done on colorism to help people understand it in different sectors of society. So I start with my chapter says it starts at home, and then I move through schooling and workplace environments. Then I talk about it in social services like policing and law. And then I move out even broader into politics and pop culture. So, in all those facets of society, I give you examples of how colorism plays out and how it manifests. And then also a big feature of the book is what I call reflections and revisions. So at the end of those chapters, I present people with prompts. It might be a journal prompt, it might be an actual conversation starter that you can have in the workplace or with your family, so that we not only have the information and understand what it is, but that people are empowered to then create change in their families, networks, and communities around them.
So it's interesting that you mentioned pop culture because I think pop culture is that one aspect that everybody can kind of grasp onto
Yes.
because it's
Hmm.
that one example that everybody can say, "Oh yeah, that's the one I remember."
Yep.
For instance, one example that comes to mind is when the NWA movie came out.
Yes.
And
That was a
they,
huge one.
yes, and they were looking for extras, and there was I think it was the tier one, tier or class one, class two, class three, and class four. And the class one was the light skinned, long hair. And then there was the light skin, and I don't remember exactly what it said. It was light skin, long hair was number one. Number two was light skin with short hair. And number three was dark skin with long hair. And number
Mm-hmm.
four was dark skin with short hair.
Yep.
But it's like the lower tier, the darker and shorter your hair was.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course everybody remembers way back in, what was it, the 80s, when we when with School Days, when
Oh yeah.
when Spike Lee put the dark skinned girls in the really seedy hotel and the light skinned girls in the really nice hotel. But that was purposeful. He did that because he wanted that conflict between the jigaboos and the wannabes, because he really wanted that scene to be, and that scene, that they really didn't like each other on that scene. That wasn't acting. They
Mm-hmm.
really didn't like each other on that scene. Because he
Mm.
really wanted that scene to be contemptuous. So he put the
Yeah.
dark skinned girls in the really bad hotel and the light skinned girls in the really good hotel. So when that scene with the jigaboos and the lights and the wannabes, having that scene about good and bad hair, when they had that scene, he really wanted them to really be fighting with each other. And I remember Tisha Campbell saying it worked almost too well. They almost really
Mm.
started to come to blows. you know,
Yeah.
so people remember those pop culture moments, with light skin and dark skin, and how dark skin and light skin like really almost come to blows just because of the color of our skin.
Yeah. And I think those pop culture examples are make it clear to people that colorism exists and that it's a problem. But
Hmm.
I think having a book about it, having conversations
Right.
about that is how we start to create change. Because it's one thing to say, this is what we do in our communities, this is what happens in the world. And I think, for example, in the School Days Spike Lee film, we get to see what's happening, but we don't really get to see what it looks like to repair those
Every day.
relationships, what it
Yeah.
looks like to create sisterhood despite that past, despite that pain, despite that trauma. And so the social media and the traditional media, movies, TV shows, music videos, right? We'll see colorism and all of that reveal to us what the problem is. And that's important. That's important awareness. And then a lot of times people are left kind of just clueless about what do we do about that. And so that's a big part of why I wanted to write the book.
And so do you talk about um how resolutions to the problem?
I do. And I use a four-part framework where I talk about the individual piece. And I tell everyone that it starts with the individual. We have to choose to pay attention to this. We have to choose to do our inner work. And we have to choose to speak up when we see colorism happening. But I also talk about understanding how you're positioned in your family, in your community, in your workplace, and in society. And I'm all for people knowing what their unique skill is. So for me, I am a writer. I was trained as a writer. I've taught writing. And so I knew when I wanted to tackle colorism that I would use writing and I would use teaching. But for someone else who's listening, they might be a school teacher. And so maybe they, look at the books that they bring into their classroom and try to have a more diverse range of skin tones in the books that they read to their students. Or maybe someone works in healthcare. And so they're checking for implicit bias when they're working with patients. And maybe someone else works in media, right? And speaking of the media, we have a lot of people who create content, whether it be marketing at their job or whether it be an actual film in Hollywood. And we can look at, when I'm designing a website for a company, am I using photos of people from a range of skin tones and a range of backgrounds? And not only including people of all skin tones, but making sure that the portrayal is equitable, right? Because
Right.
kind of like in the movies and the casting example we saw in Straight Out of Compton, like you can say, yeah, there were dark skinned women in that movie, but were they portrayed in a favorable light, right? Was the portrayal of them one that was dignified and that expressed their humanity? And so there's something that everyone can do. And my hope is that by the end of the book, people know what their next best step is. And what I will say is that it will take consistent action as well. It's not like you do one thing and then you just dust your hands off and say, well, I had that
I
one
did my part.
conversation.
I'm good.
Yep. It's going to be something that you're going to continue to encounter. And so you'll have to sort of prepare yourself, when you're in a situation to say, hey, let's rethink how we're casting this movie. Let's rethink the books that we're bringing into our library.
I have a
And
question, Doctor.
okay,
Is it okay?
yeah, go ahead.
Um, so I'm not dark and I'm not light. I guess you can
Hmm.
call it paper sack brown or whatever. But I was just wondering about the dilemma that some light-skinned people have to struggle with. Like, is there a responsibility that they have to repair particular harm when their actual advantage was unrequested? They had no control over it, largely passive, and never open and not really openly acknowledged. Is there a responsibility that a light-skinned person has in that regard?
I like that question because many light-skinned people didn't ask to be light-skinned.
Mhm.
They're not trying to have this privilege. So what do they do?
Right, right. So I'll use this as a parallel analogy because maybe it'll click for some people,
Hmm.
but no one asks for their privilege, right? So white
Hmm.
people don't ask to be born white, and they still have a responsibility to address racism wherever they see it. I didn't ask to be, born thin, but I am, right? And so I have to address, fat phobia. I have to, speak up if someone is being bullied because of their size as a thin person or an able-bodied person. If someone's being discriminated against because they're in a wheelchair because they have a physical disability, me as having privilege in that situation, it's my responsibility to look out for all people. And so, yes, for lighter skinned people, and, I talk about colorism being a spectrum of privilege. And I use the analogy of standing in a line. I call it the pastry line analogy. So if you're waiting in line for donuts or cheesecake or ice cream, and you're like, oh, they have 50 people in front of me, I'm not going to get a donut. They're going to take all the fresh donuts, right? We think that privilege means you're the first person in line. But if there are 100 people in line and you're number 50, there are people behind you saying the same thing about you that you're saying to the 50 people in front of you, right? And so you don't have to be the most privileged person in the world to still have more privilege than someone else. And so, regardless of what your skin tone is, regardless of what kind of privilege you have, being responsible with it and knowing that I'm going to create space so that all people have an opportunity, so that all people can come to the table. And so it's not about feeling guilty. It's not about feeling ashamed for who you are. It's not about saying that you're the cause of the problem. But if we want to end the problem, then we need all hands on deck.
Like, you can't ignore it or make an excuse. We have to
Right.
own it no matter what it is. Okay,
Exactly.
thank
It
you.
makes sense. I mean, yeah, you might be benefiting from it, but it doesn't mean that you can't stand up from the next person for the next person,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
right?
and I
And
think if you think about it for what would you want someone to do if they had more privilege than you, right? And so if you're in that position where you have more privilege or you have more access or someone's not discriminating against you in a situation, what would you want another person to do for you in that scenario, right? And so
Mhm.
I'll use an example of a friend of mine who's not only lighter skinned, but she's also non-black, right? She was an Asian woman, and we were shopping for makeup. We were in Sephora, right? And she said, well, yeah, you should ask for this sample. So I went to ask for the sample, and the store clerk was like, no, you can't take it home. We don't give out samples anymore, right? And so my friend used her relative privilege to say, she said, well, I'm going to go and see what they tell me. I'm going to go see if they deny me the makeup, if they deny me the sample as well, right? And so that was her in that moment making sure that me as her black friend and her darker skinned friend was being treated equally and fairly in that moment.
Did they give her the
Okay, so what
makeup?
happened? What happened?
They told her no as well.
Oh,
So they
okay,
told both of
okay,
us. They told both of us no. Because
okay.
I think they were like, oh, we have to stop doing it because of like germs or sanitary. It's not as sanitary to give out samples or something like that. But just her effort, her awareness in that situation that, oh, I have a black friend who might be experiencing racism that I don't experience as, a lighter skinned Asian woman. And she was like, I'm going to confirm, right, whether or not this is happening. And so I think we all can consider, when am I in a position to do the same for someone else?
Yeah. sounds like accountability, like owning, like, especially the world that we're living in now. We can get so concerned about other colors, other
Hmm.
people, when we need to sweep around our own front door, maybe.
Yes, for sure. And people will often say that, oh, colorism is a distraction from racism. And what
Hmm.
I talk about in the book and what I will say here is that colorism is one of the ways we fight racism, right? And if we want to see racial equity, we're going to improve and help our cause for justice and liberation as a whole when we also address the issue of colorism. And we need to do those two things simultaneously.
Sounds like a lot of work,
Yeah,
but work to happen.
I do like something that you said earlier, where you mentioned that often colorism happens often when we don't realize it. For
Mhm.
instance, choosing somebody because we feel they look less intimidating because they have
Whew.
lighter skin.
Yes. And that when I look
And
at the
that
real.
happens on the job a lot.
It does. And there's research that says when people are considering, they've done research studies that when people consider potential job candidates, job applicants, that even if they have less education and less work experience on their resume, hiring managers will still prefer or are more likely to choose the lighter skinned applicant. And this was studied amongst Black Americans and Hispanic and Latino Americans as well. And
Hmm.
so we do see that bias, and people, and that's the thing, is that people aren't always conscious of their biases. And so part of what I ask people to do in the book is to pause and reflect. Don't assume that this is not something you have to think about, because a lot of times it's an unconscious bias that we're not aware of. But also, the consequences can be even more severe than that. I think being denied employment is pretty extreme. But when I look at examples of police brutality and racial profiling, and I use the examples of like actual people who've lost their lives at the hands of police violence, like George Floyd, Michael Brown, Eric Gardner, Alton Sterling, from my hometown in Baton Rouge, right? Like, these men were considered more threatening. And even thinking about Michael Brown, how the police officer said, oh, he was bulking up and I was so afraid, of this 18-year-old child, essentially. And so that narrative that the tall, dark-skinned man with, a broad nose, and a lot of them are like hefty in stature, are somehow more threatening or more fearful. And that leads to the actual deaths of people. And so these biases and these prejudices are not just about winning a popularity contest at school, right? Or who's the beauty queen on TV. Like, these stereotypes lead to actual violence and harm towards people when they're happening in situations like police encounters. So it's something that we absolutely have to talk about.
Are you focusing just on African Americans in America, or do you go broader? And the reason why I ask this is when I was in the university, my minor was Spanish, and I had a study abroad, spent a month in Puerto Rico. And at the university, the majority of the students who were there had straighter hair, lighter skin, blue eyes. A small percentage of them had curly hair, dark hair, brown eyes. And I was only 23 years old. I couldn't believe it because I felt it. I was like, this, this same thing happened in America.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a
Mm-hmm.
coworker when I worked at the community college. She was from Sri Lanka, and she
Yes.
straightened her hair
Mm-hmm.
because she wanted to assimilate. And I was like, girl, you better, girl. I'm talking like, girl, please. And so she had to have someone tell her it is okay. Leave your
Mm-hmm.
hair natural the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting. So that's why I wanted to know, is it
Yeah.
just United States, or do you go a little further, or do you keep kind of insulated?
Oh no, it's 100% international. As soon as in the first chapter, I talk about when I started blogging in 2011, my first readers, the first people to comment on my blog were Afro-Brazilians, and a
Oh,
lot of my early research started there as well. And back then, before I had done all the research, I was just like, I'm just going to talk about this thing, right? And I was on that would lead to me ultimately getting my doctorate, doing the dissertation and all that stuff. But initially, when I put the issue out there, after watching the trailer for the Dark Girls documentary by Bill Duke, I was like, I'm going to write a post about this. And people from South Africa, from East Asia, from Australia, from Mexico, from the Caribbean, from South America, they were the first people to email me, to reach out, to comment on my blog post. And they were all saying, this happens in my community, this happens in my country, this happens in my culture, right? And I think the most prominent example internationally is the global skin bleaching market. Like when
Oh,
we
I was
talk
just
about
thinking that.
colorism,
I was
when we
just
talk
gonna
about
say that.
colorism on a global scale, that is the most obvious form of it. And really, I had my book launch on Tuesday, and a woman from Nigeria was asking, like, why does the colorism seem to be even more rampant in other countries? And I think one of the reasons is that in the United States, we've had a civil rights movement, and we just have a really long history in the United States of being conscious about color and like actually having resistance movements. But there are other countries, right? Like India, for example, and other countries across the continent of Africa that have not, and even in Europe as well. I talk to women in Germany. I do a lot of work with folks in Germany and just various countries around the world, and they have not had that history, that legacy of resisting this type of discrimination around color and race and ethnicity. And so it becomes normalized, and it's almost like you're saying the sky is blue, right? If you tell someone, well, you need to stay out of the sun, or you need to use this bleaching cream, and they will, when you go to other countries, you'll be looking for a regular lotion. I just need to lotion my face and my body. And all of the everyday regular lotions include something to lighten your
And
skin. So
quick
it's not enough to just moisturize. They want you
quick
to brighten your
story.
skin as well.
Quick story. So, my daughter and I are into skincare. People are always asking us about our skincare routine.
Hmm.
And so we're always looking for different ways to do stuff with our skin. And so but we always have these dark circles under around our eyes. And so my daughter said, you know, I tried this trick. Um, you know how the Africans use this skin bleaching. Um, so what and so what I did was I went to the African store and I bought the skin whitening cream, and I just used a little bit of it around my eyes to help with the dark circles. I said, that's not a bad idea. So I went over to find some of it, and I went to that aisle, and it scared the mess out of me when I saw
Mm,
some of the products, because
mm,
I tried to find the weakest product just because I just wanted something just for my eyes that with the dark circles. Because I was like,
mhm,
this is a good idea. But when I saw some of the creams, there were some that just said skin whitening, some that said skin brightening, and then some that was just pure skin bleaching. And I was like,
mhm,
I don't want to bleach my skin. So I was trying to find something that was just like a skin lightening or a skin brightening just for my eyes. Because I'm like, I don't want to put this stuff on and then just totally bleach my face. So I was like, I was so scared of something to get. I was like, maybe we shouldn't do this.
mhm.
Because I mean,
Yeah.
when I saw the types of products that were in there, some of it looked like it was like pure bleach. And I was like,
Mhm.
these women are actually putting this on their face. And then when you see, I'm gonna say there's a lady on reality TV. I'm not gonna say her name, but you
Mm.
could see that she was putting this on her face because she was like totally light skinned. But if you saw her hands were her normal color.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is
You see
really
it.
sad that these women are doing this to themselves.
Yeah, and it's not just women. Like in other cultures, the
Hmm.
men bleach as well. Sammy Sosa is probably the most
mm,
famous
Yeah.
example of
my
that, and
Lord.
how drastically he changed. And it's,
You're
you know,
right. You're right.
we have to ask ourselves, what are people being told in these cultures, in these societies, to where they would go to such extremes to change themselves? Because a lot of those chemicals are damaging the skin, you know,
Yes.
and they're willing to like really cause harm and damage to the skin. Like the skin does not look healthy after you've been bleaching so long. And so we have to, you know, rebuild that self-esteem and that self-image for people who I think that
Hmm.
they need to bleach or straighten their hair, as you were talking about your colleague. But
Hmm.
also we have to reprogram and change the narratives and the culture that have convinced them to think that in the first place.
Absolutely. Man, we could talk about this forever, but unfortunately, it's now
Right.
9:30, and I want to thank you for this really, really
Thank you.
eye-opening conversation, and thank you for the book. So I did put the link in the chat. I hope
Thank you.
everybody will click the link so they
Yes.
can continue this conversation. It's a very important conversation in our community. And like I said, I think it's really sad that we're still having this conversation, but it's also very important that we're still having this conversation.
Mhm.
And hopefully this will get resolved one day to where we don't have to have this conversation anymore. So thank you,
Yes.
Dr. Webb,
Thank
for
you.
continuing this. Thank you for writing this book. I hope everybody will click the link. The book can be purchased anywhere, I'm quite sure.
Yes. Anywhere, including audiobook and ebook.
Yes,
Awesome.
including audiobook and ebook. And since I'm an audiobook girly, that is where I will be getting the book. All
All right.
right.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you,
Have a
Dr.
great
Webb.
night.
Take care.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yeah, it's deep, deep rooted.
Very deep, very deep.
I mean,
Now,
generations.
our final guest has logged in twice, so I am not sure why. So we are about to find out. I wonder if one of these is her note taker or something. We're about to find out what's going on here. Let me see which one we're gonna boot out of here. Hi, hi, Denise.
Okay.
Can you get off? You can come off mute.
Here we go. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, she's got to jump off one of her devices.
I don't have us on any device. I hear echo now.
Wait.
There's
Do
an
you have
echo.
on? Are you listening on Facebook or something?
Is that better?
Hold on.
I was tuned in. I'm not anymore.
Hmm.
Is that better now?
It is.
Yes.
I was listening to the fascinating conversation. I'm so sorry. It was so wonderful. I was just all tuned in. So heard this whole Sammy Sosa conversation. It was fascinating. So, but thank you for having me. Hello, ladies. How are you?
We're
Wonderful.
wonderful.
How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. I'm glad we figured that situation out.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you're being nosy. I was being nosy, wanted to listen to everybody else's interview, and then I wasn't ready for mine, but that's okay.
No, that's not being nosy. That's called supporting the rest of the show, and we appreciate
There
it.
you go, because I sent my little hearts and everything. So
All right. Okay, so you have a book called Cold Case Redemption.
I do. Yes.
And it's still in pre-order, which means that it's not out yet.
Not
It's
until
coming out August 25th, but it is available for pre-order now. This is actually book 7 in my West Coast Crime Stories series with Harlequin Intrigue. So,
Okay.
yes, so I'm very excited for this one.
And this is romantic suspense. I like that.
Yes,
Come
ma'am. Romantic
on.
suspense. Yes, so we got a little
Yes.
thriller, action, serial killer, and a little bit of steam.
Come
So,
on, serial killers.
okay.
a
Well,
serial
you know what?
killer.
Before we jump into this book, we need to jump into Denise. Who is Denise?
So my author name that I go by is Denise N. Wheatley, and
Okay.
I'm born and raised in Chicago on the South Side.
Okay.
My first book hit shelves. Let's see, I don't want to age myself. It was a while ago, 2004, called "I Wish I Never Met You." That book came out with Simon and Schuster. So, and I have been writing ever since. I've written almost 30 books. So, and they've run the
Oh.
gamut. So I've done the whole dating thing. So definitely contemporary romance, some sweet Christmas. Now I'm doing the romantic suspense because I am a true crime girly. So that's
Yes.
true crime is my jam. So that's what I'm focusing on now. But I would like to get back into some contemporary romance stories as well. So, but yeah, I've been around the writing world for quite a little bit.
Where are you from?
I'm from Chicago.
That's why you said that.
Yeah,
South
Yes,
she's
Side?
from the south side of Chicago.
You
yes,
still live there?
I
You,
do. I do still live in Chicago.
it's
In
a
my
hot.
heart, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm a West Coast
Okay.
girl at heart, but yes, I'm still in the cold winters of Chicago.
I
Yeah,
don't know
Mhm.
how
because
you do it.
see, I like Chicago. I love y'all, but I will never visit y'all in the wintertime. Y'all can keep that.
I
I don't know how
understand
you
that.
do it.
I
I
don't
don't know
either.
how you do it.
I don't know
I
how I do
just,
it either.
I
I
was
mean,
there in May one
it's
year.
cold here in the DC area, but
It's
it's a
not as
whole
cold.
different level of cold in Chicago.
Yes, it is. And I
The
don't know why
cold
I'm
cuts
still here.
this way
Yeah,
in Chicago. I've been there in May and I was like,
yeah.
take me
It
back to
just got
100-degree
hot.
Texas.
Yeah, yeah, it just got hot in Chicago. So our winter kind of spread into,
Uh,
we've been in the 60s for a while. So the
I
weather's
don't
just,
like that.
yeah, I don't either.
Have you been to the Presidential Center?
I have not been inside yet, but I've been
Okay.
there. Tickets are, I'm working to get the tickets, but it is beautiful. I can't wait to go.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm hearing that it's a little difficult getting tickets.
yeah. I think they're sold out through November at this point. So I've sent out a couple of messages looking for friends to do favors to see if I can get in. So we'll see what happens.
Okay, I mean, because you got to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
Yes, yes. So wish me luck. We'll see.
Wish everybody
Just tell
luck.
them your name is Denise in Wheatley.
Because why don't they know that? I don't understand
I know.
it.
Come on, man. Oh my goodness. Okay, but yeah, so but congratulations on the new book, first
Thank
of
you.
all.
Thank you.
Okay, and you say it's available for pre-order. So everybody go ahead and pre-order this book. And you know what? I love the fact that you are not waiting until the last minute to promote this book. I was
No.
just talking about this earlier,
Mhm.
that you can't just be waiting until the last minute. You can't be posting the book and then be like, my book is out, y'all. I just posted the book on Amazon.
Yeah.
Come on out and click this link and buy
Yeah.
my book.
Yeah.
It,
You know what I've come to
yeah.
learn though? I think a lot of authors are uncomfortable with marketing. I've heard that from so
Yeah.
many
No,
authors.
authors are uncomfortable with
Yeah.
marketing, and I think what happens is people want to write a book.
Yes.
But they did not know that telling a good story also meant that they had to basically open a business and start an
Yep.
LLC.
Yes, it is true. But you know what? The best way to get comfortable with it is to just do it. We were all
Yeah.
uncomfortable at some point. And that's what you always have to remember. Everybody who is watching you or everybody you're watching, everybody had to start at some point. All of us had
Hmm.
graphics that may not have looked that great, but the more you do it, the more acclimated you get more comfortable, and you just get over yourself because people don't understand. Readers want to read your work. They want to
Yeah.
see it, they want to know about it, and they want us to
They
put
just
it
have
out
to
there.
know it's there. If you don't
Right.
tell anybody it's there, they can't support it.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you have a online presence? Is it through a website, social media, IG, Facebook,
I think at
X?
this point it's everything. Whatever you can get on, I say get on it. YouTube, definitely social media is fantastic. Having a website or having a blog, that's great. A lot of authors have newsletters that your readers can sign up for, and that way they can know more about your books. So any way you can get your work out there, I think you should. And you know, TikTok has just become a phenomenon all its own.
Book talk.
So, yep.
What's been successful for you in getting publicity marketing and word of mouth? I mean, what has worked for you?
I think for me, Instagram has been a great way to get my work out there. Facebook is also a really good way to get your work out there. I see, and you know, being with Harlequin, we automatically get a lot of marketing done for ourselves. But I'll tell you, a lot of these self-published authors are killing it. They have a ton of followers because I think they get a different kind of support. People really want to put their support behind them because they know they don't have a machine. So they get that word of mouth work, they get that. And I think word of mouth is important too. So getting in front of book influencers is important. Maybe wanting to send some art books out to some of the influencers, reach out and say, hey, can I send you a copy of my book? And that might be a good way to get the word out as well.
Well,
That's
I
nice.
think another piece of it is you have a publisher, but you're not resting on your laurels having a publisher.
Right.
That's
And
right.
there are a lot of self-published authors who believe that their goal is to get a publisher because as soon as they get a publisher, they can go, oh,
Yeah, the
okay, I
madness.
can stop now.
No.
And
Unfortunately,
that's not the
yeah,
case.
that is not the case. And actually, publishers, agents, they don't like it when they have clients who aren't putting in the work too. They expect that from their clients. I've heard agents say that they won't represent you if you're not trying to sell your own work. They're like, how can we sell it if you're not trying to sell it yourself? So, and I know that so many writers are a little bit introverted, and it's not easy. It is not easy to put yourself out there. You might be feeling self-conscious, and but you just have to do it. And then criticism is going to come and all that, but you have to just ignore that noise and just be proud of the work that you've done. You worked hard, put it out there and let everybody know it's there. And those who don't want to receive it, that's okay, because there are a lot of people who will.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about your story.
So Cold Case Redemption is about my hero's name is Ian Carter, and he is from a small town. He's got a small town love living there with him. Her name is Bella. They've got these big plans for the future. They want to get married, they want to have children, raise their family in this small town. But then he gets caught up with the wrong crowd. A crime is committed, a murder is actually committed, and he gets caught up in the middle of it because this wrong crowd is also privileged. So they try and put the murder off on him. He ends up having to escape, and he joins the Marines to get out of the whole mix of this murder trying to be pinned on him. So because of a death in his family, he ends up having to come back to town. But then he left behind his love and all of the drama. So when he comes back, he kind of has to clean all that stuff up. But then he gets caught up in a whirlwind because the guy who was trying to frame him is now running for mayor of the town. So now that Ian's back, he's like, oh, let me run my campaign on the man being back. Let's get him in jail. So the story becomes about him trying to clear his name. And in the meantime, murders are happening because somebody does not want the truth to come out. So then our serial killer story comes in, and the cold case, because the case was never solved. So that's where the cold case comes into it as well. And with that old love that he left behind, there's a little bit of a surprise he finds out too. So there's kind of an enemies to lovers thing, the way he left her back. When he gets back to town, he finds out, oh, he didn't quite, that wasn't the cleanest break that he thought it was. I don't want to give anything away, but he goes back and finds out that there's still some unfinished business between them.
And this is part of a series. So are these recurring characters?
In this book, there aren't. So what happened in the beginning of this series, we have a family, their last name is Love. So the Love family, it's a family of law enforcement officers, and they each got their own story. But the series did so well, people really took to the whole West Coast crime, that storyline. So what we did, we started to expand it. We took it out to some different states, still in the West Coast, but then we started bringing in some new characters, and they're all connected. There might be a small way that they're connected, but each book is still a standalone. If there's something brought up from another book, there's some understanding there of how it's incorporated into the current story.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how do you? Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead, Mary.
Okay, thank you. So Denise, so you said that the title promises redemption. So like which character do you feel like needs redemption the most, but is least likely to be like recognized by readers as needing that redemption?
I think Ian definitely needs it the most. He needs it the most because he's got some things to prove, and he's got some issues that he should have cleared up before he left. So it's kind of twofold with him. Some things he left behind that he didn't clean up like he should have, and then he's clearing his name. He's trying to get back right with this town that means so much to him.
Right. Okay.
Now, I was just going to ask, how do you find your story ideas?
Oh, so I don't know if you all are fans of the Investigation Discovery Channel and Dateline and 48-Hour Mystery, but I'll tell
stop.
Listen, I have never at a loss for a storyline, okay? I am so inspired by so many stories. I don't know, are you all familiar with the Smiley Face Killer? Have you heard of that?
I have heard of the Smiley. I don't know a lot about him, but I heard of him.
So that story is so fascinating. They don't know, by they, I mean law enforcement. Law enforcement doesn't know if this is a network of killers, one person, but it is wild. There's a killer going around, and he is basically this is real life. He's kidnapping young professional men, usually in the middle of the night when they're stumbling out of a club, drunk or high or whatever. These guys go missing for like 2 weeks, and then they show up in a body of water, dead, with a smiley face drawn around whatever is near. So if they're under a bridge, there will be a smiley face by the bridge, things like that. And there's no cause of death. They don't know how the person died. The body is preserved. So, and then they've been gone for 2 weeks. So they know that they've probably been held somewhere. And this has happened all over the United States. We even had a case, they think, here in the suburbs of Chicago and even the Chicago River. So that story is so fascinating to me. The Oxygen Channel did a whole series about it. They still haven't figured it out. But so the second book in this series, The Heart-Shaped Murders, was my inspiration. That whole smiley face was my inspiration for that book. So that's just an example of how I will pull from different stories that I see that are just fascinating to me. And in one way or another, I kind of incorporate it into my books. Very loosely based, but still just inspired by it.
So you would consider yourself like a journalist writer when you're infusing your cold case, crime fiction, romance, suspense?
Well, I don't take directly from the stories. It's just more inspiration. So, because I'm careful not to like just copy, because there are books that will cover those, and those will be more of a true crime book that's actually documenting. So I wouldn't say that, but I would definitely say it's inspiring. It inspires my creativity to think of something, because like The Heart-Shaped Murders, my killer, his signature, it wasn't a smiley face, obviously, but it was a heart that he would carve into his victim's heart.
Yeah.
Or into their, I'm sorry, he would carve a heart into their chest. I said that all wrong.
I get it though. I get it.
You were like, what? Yeah.
So do you follow?
No, I get it. So you're basically finding headlines and you're pulling your story straight from the headlines.
Right. So it might be something similar. Something similar to that just jarred something in me to say that would be an interesting angle for one of my books. So, just because, what was I think it might have been CSI. A lot of those shows are based on real life cases. We'll see the case, and a couple of weeks later, we'll see it on there. So, and I love the way that show opens. My books usually open like those shows. They have that action scene in the very beginning. Yeah. Usually I do a prologue, and in that prologue, somebody got killed or somebody's almost got killed. I always try and open that way, just like grab the reader's attention. So,
yep, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Have you ever done some research for a certain crime but you're like, never gonna write about that because it's just too exploitative or just too closely connected to that real victim, especially if it may be a person of color or something?
I have done a lot of research. I do research with every book because every book brings something new. I wrote a book where there was a woman, her bones were found and she was pregnant. So I had to figure out how an anthropologist would have been able to figure out how finding bone to know that this woman was pregnant. And I researched and found out it was because the way her hip bones were spread. Like he could tell of the pregnancy with that. So I've never been, usually when I go into it, I already know what I'm going to write about. So I don't ever say, you know what, that's too much, I'm not going to do it. And sometimes I find out a little bit more than I intended, but it comes with the territory. So
do you pull back? Like if you say you already kind of know what you're going to, like I'm going to do this, and then you get to digging and you're like, oh, do you pull back?
I probably should pull back, and I am so sorry to say I do not. Because I'm like, we're here now. We are here now. And I'll tell you, I actually wrote a medical romance, but with Harlequin Medical, that you're in the room with these surgeons. So you go deep into those situations. I wrote about a character who got third-degree burns from fireworks going off in the backseat of a car. I wrote about a man who was stacking steroids and his muscles exploded. So I had to do all of that. I know. And that's real. That stuff happens.
Yes.
It's real.
I've heard of people's chest exploding because of steroids.
So I did that research and it went too far. I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought I was going to read. But I'm like, well, we're here now, so now I gotta put it in the book, and I did. So
what is that called? The Brazilian Butler BLB? Is that what it's called? Butler? Did you ever try to infuse that? BBL? I don't. But I know
don't get them either, but I know what a BBL is.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it got, because I read something about people online saying that it stinks if you don't take care of yourself. Would you ever consider like infusing that so you can not only talk about perhaps a character who got a BBL, but some of the problems that show up so you can kind of educate people as well? Or do you find yourself educating with the crime stories that you write?
They actually are very educational because everything is factual. When it comes to those, to the crimes, to the forensics, to the surgery, everything is definitely factual. I mean, I definitely think a lot of that can be a cautionary tale. I have a book where I talked about that eye surgery, where you get the eye changes color. Now, nothing happened to the patient, but I did have to address some of the possible things that could go wrong, getting a surgery like that. So I think it definitely could be a cautionary tale sometimes when you look into that. And even with the crimes, it's like, you might think, I might not want to, do, because don't we do that in real life? When we watch Dateline, we always talk about what we wouldn't have done to get in these situations when we see something. But then hindsight is 2020, right?
Yeah,
It is.
that's what they say. But
Yeah.
Aaron Long says it sounds like great reading.
Oh, well, thank you.
And Tony Benita said you learn reading her books.
I love Tony.
Oh,
Tony is such a
that's
big
good.
supporter. I love her so much. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah,
Yes.
look, you're educating everybody. You are educating the masses.
I make fun. I always tell people, look, I'm a detective, I'm a doctor. Every profession my characters have, I always start claiming. I'm like, I'm this because I feel like I did so much research and now I have the degree in it. So I'm the expert.
It's great to be the expert. What were you doing before you started writing?
Oh, I've done a little bit of everything. I've worked in marketing. I've worked in well, when I loosely say finance. I was working for an endowment, so I've done that. And you know what? One of the proudest jobs I've had, I was I was going to say an educator. Might as well have been. I was a caregiver for my mom. My mom had kidney disease, so she was sick
Mm.
for some years. But I took and look, this is another reason I'm a doctor because look, I was in there with her doctors. You couldn't tell me I wasn't one of them, but I took great care of her. So I was a caregiver with her. So I've done a lot, but reading has always or writing has always been my passion. I've always done that throughout every job. I've always been in the background writing.
Just this is full time for you?
It is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of writers' dream is to be able to write full time and
Well, you
support
know
their
what ends up
passion.
happening, you take on so much because you're like, oh, if it's my full time, now I can just go write everything. So then I haven't not been on deadline in years. I don't remember the last time I was not on deadline. It, so you think, oh, I can just do that, but then you end up taking on so much more. And there's nothing wrong with that, and I do know it was my dream for a long time before I just bit the bullet and say, you know what, I'm going to do this. And it started with me taking care of my mom. I needed to be there for her whenever she needed me. So in that, I was doing that and then writing as well. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Donna
Now,
Hill was talking about being on
we
deadline.
we
Mhm.
talked speaking of being on deadline, we talked a bit at the top of the interview about being traditionally published.
Yeah.
What are some of the I don't want to say pressures, but what are some things that people just don't realize about being traditionally published that people should know? Because we get a lot of independent authors who watch the show.
Mhm.
And like I said, there are some things that people just may not realize about being traditionally published that they should probably know before they jump with both feet. And I'm not trying to discourage them, but I want them to know that if this is something, a path that they choose, that there are some
Mhm.
things that they should know about being traditionally published.
Right. I think that there's a lot more freedom when you're self-published.
Hmm.
So being traditionally published, you just won't have the same amount of power that you do when you are self-published. So say your book cover, you won't have 100% control over your book cover like you will if you are self-published. You won't have a lot of control oftentimes with your blurb. So if the blurb goes on the back of the book, that's, hey, publisher's going to get the final word on that. Publisher gets the final word on a lot of things. Your book title,
Hmm.
you might not get your say on that. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. And then with the editing too, I go through 4 rounds of edits before my book hits the shelves. So, and then oftentimes you may not always agree with some of the changes that are asked of you. And then, I don't do a lot of I try to be subjective when I'm editing. So if an editor is saying to me, hey, this didn't sit well with me, they're reading it as a reader. I write as a writer. So they might see something I don't. And I try and always take that into consideration, rather than get offended. Because some people are very much married to their work and they don't want to change anything. And
Right.
self-published authors that I've talked to, that's one of the reasons they want to stay that way. They want to write what they want to write and they don't want to make those changes. And I understand that. So it's actually nice to have those options. And as you all know, a lot of traditionally published authors are hybrid. They do both. So they can have those projects that are 100% theirs. And then, they'll have the ones that are with the traditional publisher too.
Would
Are
you
you
consider hybrid? You're gonna ask that question.
Well, you know what? I actually have self-published in the past and I would definitely do it again. So finding the time is the key. But I would definitely do it again.
okay? And that's the thing, is having the time. So
Yeah.
right now you're 100% traditional.
I am. And I actually just I signed another contract. So I'm starting a new series called Knox Investigations after this one is done. Thank you. So, and this one is about a privately owned investigation firm it's owned by a family and they travel the United States. And with this one, they're looking at a lot of different cases, cold cases primarily, that law enforcement officers just could not seem to solve. It's a family of siblings. They have various jobs, prosecuting attorneys, CSI, cyber sleuths, things like that. So they all have a different background that they bring to the table to help solve these different cases. So I'm actually working on the first book of that series right now. So see, on deadline at this moment.
Yes.
Yeah,
Do
way
you
to
get to pick
go.
your editors, or are your editors assigned to you, or do you have your
They
own
are
personal editor?
they're assigned to us. I have a sister who is a writer, so sometimes she'll help me with my editing too. And a lot of people have partners that they'll get together with their writing partner and bounce ideas off of them. So I have friends I can bounce ideas off of and say, hey, why don't you read this? And I do that before I'll even turn in the book just to make sure it's good. But the editors are assigned to us at
Now
the
see, and that's another good point. Is before you turn your book in, you have the book edited yourself before you turn the
Absolutely.
book in, because the
Yes.
publisher is going to have the book edited,
Right.
but you actually want the book edited before you even turn it in.
You want it as clean as possible. You want it as clean as possible, then it won't be as much work coming back. So,
Right.
yeah. And my process has kind of changed. I used to write a little bit faster than I do now. At this point, I'm writing slower because I've come to learn about myself. I do not like editing. So I'd rather write slow, take my time. I'm actually writing and I've never written and edited at the same time. I'm doing that now because I'm like, I don't want to write and like, oh,
Mm,
finish my book. And then you read it back and you're like, what is this? And I've done that. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just write slow and
mm-hmm.
write clean and well. And you're going to change it still. You're still going to change it, but at least it'll be better than what it was with you fast drafting. Just, it doesn't work for me at this point.
Yeah, I've gone back and read a book that I've written, and I'm like, what in the world was I writing? What was I
Yes.
asleep when I wrote this?
Yes. And you think you're killing it. You're like, I
Yeah.
got my word count in. It's good. You go back. I'm like, this is not good. It's just not good.
Yep, I've
So,
gone back and I was like, let me re-edit this.
yes. Yes, that is me. That is me. So I'm trying to avoid that ever happening again.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and it just
Do-
goes to show it's hard to edit your own stuff sometimes.
it really is.
Yeah, and everybody's not perfect. So
Right.
sometimes it's good to have a fresh set of eyes look at your
Yes.
stuff.
Yes.
do
Very
you
true.
have any book clubs, or how does that? I know you work with Harlequin. Do they encourage that, or do they work with you with that? Having book
Harlequin
clubs?
actually has its own book club, which is fantastic. So, and within their book club, people pay a monthly fee and they automatically get a set of books. So each of the series, I write for Harlequin series, and with that series, 6 books comes out per month. And depending on what type of tier they have or however they're set up in the book club, those books automatically come to them, which is, fantastic. So I don't have my own book club, but I know that I have certain members of book clubs that will recommend my book and they'll read my book and I'll do appearances with the club, things like that.
Okay. Okay,
So
that's all
yeah.
I'm wondering. That's
Hmm.
great. That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Okay,
Well,
I'm gonna have to.
unfortunately, we're down to like the last
Oh no, I just got
Oh,
here.
I know.
minute.
Time just flew by.
It
It really
did.
did.
It did.
Yeah, but I just want to congratulate you once again on your
Thank you.
upcoming release. I hope everybody goes out and pre-orders the book so that way it is already a bestseller before release day.
That's right. August 25th is official release day. But yes, if I hit bestseller before then or when that day comes, how grateful. I'll have you two to thank.
No, okay then. Y'all share this live. Share this live.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so tell everybody the name of the book one more time.
The book is called Cold Case Redemption. It's part of the
Show
West
us.
Coast Crime Story series. Oh,
You
there
have
you
it on
go.
you. Don't you have it on you? Yeah, let us see. Oh,
Yes,
beautiful.
Cold Case Redemption. Yes.
Gotta
All
find out
right.
about Ian and Bella.
There it is right
Yes.
there. And the link is in the chat. We had a lot of comments, so you got to scroll up just a little bit. And the Amazon link is right there. So everybody click the link. It is a Harlequin book. And it is a romantic suspense.
Yes. Yes. You romance, you some thrills, some chills, definitely all the suspense. So absolutely. I
All
hope
right.
you all enjoy it.
All right. Well, thank you
Forward
so
to it.
much, Denise, for joining us tonight.
Thank
I
you
hope
for
you had a
having
good
me.
time.
I had a great time. Thank you again.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Denise.
You have a great
Okay.
night.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye-bye.
All right, y'all. That is the end of another great episode of Black Authors Matter TV. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Mary, for keeping me company tonight.
You're welcome. I have to show this part right here. We're having the Black Authors Matter TV Awards next week.
I know,
Gwen told me to
man.
remind y'all that.
Yes, it is crazy. It seems like we just had them.
Yes, but I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yes.
We're ready.
All right, just as a reminder, there are only 2 tables left for the National Black Book Festival. So go ahead, snap those tables up, and then we will be at capacity. I can't wait to see you guys in October. This is going to be an amazing festival. I'm already reading the books. The featured authors this year are going to be outstanding. And I'm going to be doing some content so I can pump those books up because I'm already reading the books, and if you haven't read the books yet, you need to because they are awesome. So that is all we have for this week. Gwen will be back next week, and I will be back with her. And so
Thank
that's
you,
all we
Dr.
have for this
Rhonda.
week.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Mary.
thank you for letting me join along. I had a great
Oh,
time.
oh, I'm glad you did. I had a great time with you. Thank you, Mary.
Appreciate you.
All right, y'all. Y'all have a wonderful evening and a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.